The representations being created are done through the camera, the sound, the mise-en-scène and the editing, which includes the costume, the Foley sound, the dialogue, the props and the location, and etc. I'll first be talking about the women in the scene who are being represented. The women in the scene are Susan, who's Freddie's wife, Elle, who's the main character, and the other captives in Freddie's garage shed kind of thing. Our media product represents social groups in quite a stereotypical way. The first character I'll talk about is Elle, and I'll be talking about her costume to start with. Her costume combined with her hair and her makeup. Her main costume is the white nightdress or top, and she has bare feet, massive hair, and you can't see her makeup much in the night opening, but I tried to make her look kind of ill and distressed. The white top is supposed to project this sense of kind of purity and innocence, which is what the colour white represents. We did this to get the audience to kind of sympathise with her and feel sorry for her, as she is kind of a victim in the scene. This in itself is creating a representation of this in itself is creating the representation and conforming to the stereotype that women are victims and need to be more protected to keep their purity and innocence intact, or even that women should be pure and angelic in the first place. Her bare feet symbolise her vulnerability, as she's not like fully protected from the ground in this case, but and along with the rest of her costume, it suggests that she's kind of been stripped, both literally and metaphorically, possibly of like her dignity or her innocence. This follows on from the stereotype that women are defenceless victims who need to be rescued. The fact that she runs to the house at the end and bangs on the door for someone to save her adds to this representation. This is the body language and the location, which are in the last scene. This creates a representation of women as being dependent and capable of looking after themselves. Her body language, she bangs on the door, looks desperate and worn out, representing women as weak, and as she runs through the forest, her body language and facial expressions are panicked and distressed, creating a representation of women as hysterical and defenceless. The fact that Freddie's victims are all wearing the same thing suggests that their identities and their individuality has been taken away. There's also a high angle on this shot on the girls in the shed, which suggests that they're vulnerable and weak. The girls in the shed are tied up, which is part of the body language and the props, suggesting that they're property instead of people, which objectifies the women in the scene. This whole shot of the girls in the shed conforms to the stereotype, the social stereotype of women as subordinate and defenceless to men. The sounds of crying and heavy breathing in the scene, which were added in post-production, represent women as emotional and hysterical, which is another social stereotype. The shots of Elle running through the forest are done on a handheld camera, and a tracking shot which creates a sense of panic and highlights Elle's panicked state, again suggesting that they're hysterical and emotional. Freddie's wife only appears twice in our film, and both times she does, she's represented in two ways. One of the ways she's represented is challenging the stereotype, as she appears as the breadwinner of the family, as she's dressed in smart clothes and she has a job and she's kind of the man of the house in some ways. However, the shots that she's in, her facial expression, which is part of the mise-en-scène, reveals that she's afraid of Freddie. She's scared to, part of the body language, she's afraid to look at him, which represents women as subordinate to men and kind of at their mercy in a way. In terms of men in our film, Freddie is the first person I'll be talking about. He is dressed in casual and everyday clothing, which is contradicting his, personality in a way, because he's a psychopath. This represents men as deceptive and two-faced. This is also shown in the fact that he has like a double life, so he has his family life and his creepy life. The blocking as part of the mise-en-scène, as Freddie is sitting at the table with his family, represents men as in control of the family and dominant, as he's sitting at the head of the table with his family behind him in the shot, either side of him. This also suggests that he's separating the family between the mum and her son. Freddie's body language represents men as tense and angry and aggressive, as he's clenching in his hands, and when he walks up to the shed, he's clenching his key. He just appears angry and tense. The props also in this scene represent Freddie, men, as kind of in control and the owners of things, as he's holding the key, which suggests he owns property or the women or something like that. The storyline itself represents men as monstrous and violent, considering Freddie is a psycho who kidnaps women and keeps them in his shed. Freddie's dark costume represents his dark personality, which therefore represents men as mysterious and dangerous. The fact that you don't get to see Freddie's face in the whole film opening also adds to the sense of mystery and secrecy. The editing in our film creates a divide between the men and the women, a gender separation. We used cross-cutting to represent different scenes where Elle appears panicked and distressed while Freddie seems calm